Chlorine on her skin, secrets in the penthouse. Hotels don't sleep. They change their breathing. When the lobby empties and the bell carts line up like obedient pets, the building switches language. Day speaks in late checkouts and conference rates, in espresso and apologies delivered with a smile. Night speaks in compressor hum and soft ice machines, in linens and quiet, in cameras that see better than people. The rooftop pool smells like a clean lie. The penthouse hums even when no one is inside. If you've never stood at a service elevator with a master key card and felt the whole place hinge on your wrist, you don't know how a city can be distilled into the sound of doors. My name is Nathan, night manager at the Halcyon on Bay. On my belt hang the small certainties: master badge, back of house radio, a multi-tool that opens cages and hearts when it needs to. At my desk, a bank of monitors, a key log, a tray where cuff links come to die. I can tell from the corridor air whether a party has lied to the concierge, from the weight of a minibar whether someone has replaced a vodka with water. I know by the tempo of the HVAC when the building is holding its breath. Ava, my wife, then curated nights for a living. She made strangers feel like a guest list was a destiny. She wore a ribbon of black silk she called her velvet halter, a little band that lived just inside her wrist, like a secret you could kiss if you had the credentials. On Wednesdays, when our orbits allowed, she'd come through the employee entrance, swipe the visitor badge I'd pre-authorized, and step into the quiet like a diver into a calm pool. She'd sit on the ledge of my control desk, one heel hooked on the footrest, fingers slipping into my belt on a pretense lint, a thread. I'd put my mouth in the notch under her collarbone, the place where a voice is born, and breathe until her shoulders changed profession. We were careful. Cameras remember more faithfully than vows. Linen keeps a kind of diary. But if there's a sanctuary in a place built for interrupted sleep, it lives in the seconds between the ping of an elevator and the opening of its doors. The first sign didn't shout. At 1:58 a.m., the access log for PH1 recorded door held open, 4 seconds without a corresponding swipe. At 2:01, the rooftop gate registered a manual override from inside, someone letting themselves out to the deck. At 2:04, housekeeping's handheld inventory showed 2 champagne flutes checked out from the pantry and never returned. At 2:16, a lipstick ring, a fine red cherry, menthol bright, appeared on the rim of a flute set neatly in the service elevator, as if it had been taught manners. Ava's mouth likes fig and tea. Menthol is a confidence worn for other people. 2 nights later, the same minute put fingers in my neck. Door held open, 3 seconds. The pool heater bumped a degree without instruction. The camera above the penthouse corridor lost focus and returned, as if a brow had passed too close. On a slip-resistant tile by the chaise near the glass, a single sequin clung to the grout, a tiny star that doesn't belong in our uniform palette. My shoulder blades decided before my head did. I'm not a cop. I'm a man of schedules and keypads, but I believe in traces. In the back office supply closet, we keep a bottle of UV powder for risk training, harmless to guests, bright under black light, a gentle teacher. That night I dusted a whisper under the penthouse handle, a crescent on the underside of the rooftop latch, an invisible kiss along the outer edge of the mini-split thermostat. I tied a single nylon hair, almost invisible, across the service stair door frame leading to the penthouse landing, just enough tension to fall and die on the carpet if disturbed. Then I looked at myself in the CCTV bubble of the ceiling, a fisheye confession, and smiled the way you do when you already know what you'll have to carry. Ava came later, mouth amber, dress choosing its own folds, heels soft on carpet. She sipped from my thermos, made a kind face she saved for my coffee, and pressed her palm flat to my sternum, the shelf where I keep emergencies. Your building feels like a boutique confession, she said, eyes drifting toward the rooftop feed. It dreams too loud, I said. I give it procedures until it sleeps again. My hand found the side of her throat, the place to say hello, not to hold. She softened, not like surrender, like selection. We should have it, she said. The conversation, I said. A man who names the animal to take away its claws. Open, she put the word between us like a glass. Not a circus, not cruelty. Rules, nobody from your team, nobody who pays me. We say before, not after, protection always. We keep each other first. Our bed is a border, the halcyon. Her eyes grazed the monitor's sanctuary. I made the worst joke, consecrated to housekeeping, and her mouth cut the power with the easiest liturgy. We signed with skin, the one ink we trusted. Morning gave me my moth. The nylon hair lay curled on the corridor runner. Under black light, my 3 crescents grinned green at the exact height of human eagerness. Under the wet bar, wedged between a plinth and the wall, a cheap metal hairpin shone like a false promise. Ava disciplines her hair with matte black pins, practical, like her kindness. This one was the brightness of a dare. His name arrived through PR with the bland smile of a package. Rory Stone, lifestyle host, shooting a rooftop segment, needs after-hours access for ambient audio, YouTube live teaser. He had the handshake of a man who mistakes invitation for welcome, white sneakers that pronounced creative in the lobby. You can smell the city catching its breath up here, he said, pleased with himself, testing lines for the camera. His eyes slid over the penthouse door as if he'd always owned something like it. The kettle at home sang the song it knows. Ava spread her fingers on the counter like a lighting plot. I used the word I asked you to give me, she said. She didn't shrink. I shouldn't have brought this into your walls. I won't again here. What time? Asked the man who lives in logs and duty rosters. It's not the hour that washes it, she said. She was right, and I hated that truth with the small hatred you reserve for medicines. We lasted a few weeks like citizens of a fragile republic. She spoke before. I kept the powder in the drawer with the things that know too much. Rory waved his courtesy around our hallways, a videographer trailing, a smile ready. The rooftop breathed like a chest with no secrets. Hotel peace is an animal you feed one night at a time. Thursday came back stubborn. 158, door held open. 201, roof override. 204, a new ring on the spare flute in the pantry, menthol red. In a housekeeping tote someone had left in the service vestibule, an earbud tip slept like a lost molar. The hallway camera saw a silhouette too crisp for innocence and too soft for a report. I didn't pull the fire alarm. I held my world while my anger learned to pour itself somewhere that wouldn't stain. We separated without trophies or speeches that try to win. Ava took a 1-bedroom 10 minutes away, a balcony over a ficus that wanted to be a fig tree. I kept my chipped mug, my radio, my rituals. She took the friendly kettle. Hate me clean, she asked. If you can't, file me in a drawer you don't open often. I have labels, I promised. I kept it almost well. Work stitched me with thread that smelled like cold metal and lemon. A breaker threw a tantrum on 15. I talked it down like a horse. A guest hallucinated a rat in their minibar. I brought a smile and an upgrade and kept my joke to myself. A junior concierge confused discretion with secrecy. I taught him that one keeps the lights on, the other starts fires. I slept in slices. I learned to like my fatigue the way you learn to like a faithful dog you didn't choose. She arrived through a contractor's badge and a coil of cable over her shoulder. Nor was a security systems engineer. On site for a camera upgrade our insurer had been nagging about. A bun anchored with a pencil, clear eyes that cut without hurting, hands that knew the difference between tight and cruel. She smelled like rain had just stopped, and the alcohol swab she'd used on her knuckles. On her middle finger, a pale scar, comma left by a rack door that had argued once and lost. We met for real at 3:11 a.m., shoulder to shoulder under the low ceiling of the security room, the screens painting us in blue. She pressed her ear to the cabinet and tapped the metal with the back of her fingernail, coaxing a stubborn fan into honesty. "This wants respect, not force," she told the humming, not me. "Everything does," I said, holding the flashlight at the angle she'd have asked for if she were the type to ask. Our fingers brushed when she took the tool back. Electricity found a good ground. Our first kiss happened in the service elevator, stopped between floors for testing. She put her palm to my sternum, exact, not dramatic. I put my mouth just below her ear, the little country where words are born. We breathed until something inside both of us changed jobs. She kept her eyes open, not like a dare, like joy that the world stayed upright as we tilted. My hand found the side of her throat, again hello, not claim. We stepped apart before the alarm decided to teach ethics. We laughed the way serious people do when they're grateful. With Noor, precision wore tenderness like it had been tailored. She likes my thumb on the pulse inside her wrist and my resistance to hurry. She comes to sit astride my lap in the tiny glass office overlooking housekeeping, blind drawn, screens dimmed, world outside. With a nail she draws roots on my forearm, cameras we'll never have to check, doors that will behave if spoken to softly. We set rules the building could bless. Not on the desk. Not in the penthouse corridor. Not where a camera that remembers too well could steal anything from us. Yes, in the linen cage after the cages are locked, the air warm and clean. Yes, on the fire stair between 10 and 11, where no one walks after 2. Yes, on the roof parapet at dawn, where the city forgets to be loud. If you're waiting for revenge, I will disappoint you. I could have built a dossier. Logs, fluorescent fingerprints, the earbud tip, the red rings. I could have murmured to a gossip columnist that a lifestyle host had tried to seduce the concept of access. I could have taught Rory Stone how a hotel closes doors. But a hotel is a sanctuary for other people's exhaustion, for strangers who need something stable to sit in while they endure or celebrate. I won't turn my corridors into my altar. Also, Noor prefers me when I smell like patience and steel, not triumph. Ava and I relearned sentences without teeth. She kept a contract to stage our autumn gala because she is excellent and I am not small. Sometimes she texts a photo of an arrogant basil plant on her balcony. I reply with a screenshot of a quiet lobby where sunrise is rehearsing. "Proud of you," she wrote once, after I'd saved an event from a storm by moving it to the ballroom in 13 minutes flat. I let the words sit. They had no claws. Rory still brings his camera to our rooftop, because the city likes pretty boys who say things that feel like compliments. We passed in the back corridor near the freight elevator. He lifted 2 fingers in a salute that can't decide between military and bro. "Love what you've done with the place," he said. "It keeps itself," I said. "I just keep its memory straight." He smiled with his mouth and let the door close without helping. Nights returned to their honest work. A wedding party learned to whisper in a hallway that wasn't theirs. I steered them with a grin, never touching, always leading. A fire panel sulked and made the lights blink. I apologized to it and to the bride in the stairwell. A room attendant cried in the laundry and told me afterward that it was just her heart exhaling. I believed her and brought her a cold bottle of water like a blessing. Sometimes I wake in the small room off the engineering office at an hour that refuses to be named. If Noor's leg is heavy across my thigh like a comma placed right, I put my hand along her throat and wait for the rise that says yes. The difference between an ending and a finish has a temperature. My palm knows it better than my tongue. Months after the UV powder returned to the drawer of bright ideas we don't need, the hotel hosted the Halcyon After Dark. I wore black because black forgives neon. Ava stood under a tamed lighting rig, her hair shorter, a decision that didn't ask permission. "Is she gentle?" she asked, not saying nor because we've learned how to offer names without throwing them. "She's precise," I said. "That is my way of nomming good, tenderness with a manual." "Be kind," Ava said, "not a blessing, a set of instructions for staying human." We clinked water glasses. Water doesn't lie in a building that sells intoxication. At the far end of the pool, Rory told a circle of donors how rooftops are the new churches. They laughed and forgave him ahead of time. Let him have their indulgence. I had something better, locking a mechanical room, thanking a boiler with a touch for not throwing a tantrum, accepting Noor's hand on my sternum. No pulse check, just the recognition of a machine that has proven its goodness. Hotels don't do morals. They do tolerances and thresholds and little rituals you perform because you'd rather keep the world from cracking. To new night auditors who wander into my office with eyes too bright and questions too soft, I say what I say to myself when the building tries to make my anger useful. Log it, breathe, decide. Keep the sanctuary sacred. Don't let a corridor carry your grievance. Keep evidence if you need to, but let go of the pose of the judge. Remember that what passes through your hands is the pause in someone else's life. They won't wait for you to forgive them to keep going. Before dawn, I take the last round because it feels like a song written for how I walk. I run a palm down the flank of the big service elevator like it's an old dog with good bones. "All in order," I say to the radio, which is another name for my chest. The indicators give me their small green truths. I kill noise in the right order. I turn a key. The whole profession folded into that honest click and climb the stairs to the roof. Sometimes Noor is already there, pencil in her hair, loose strands stealing a little smell of ozone and soap. She presses her palm to my chest the way you test a well-tuned machine. I put my mouth in the old place, the one under her ear that turns language into breath, and keep the only secret I decided to carry like a badge. Sanctuaries are built, not found. Love is a maintenance log. I won't use a penthouse to perform a revenge. If the access log coughs again at 1:58, I'll see it. I'll decide whether to open the drawer with the powder or the one where I keep patience. Lately, I open, look close, and choose patience. It looks good on the building. It holds me upright. And when the first cab door opens on bay to swallow a suitcase, I go back down with the smell of chlorine and sheeted air, Noor's hand in mine, and the certainty that this was the right speed to carry the truth.